Alright, today is Wednesday, August 12th, I believe, somewhere around 3:30ish. And I'm happy to report that the inverter project has been completed. As you can see, it's safely mounted underneath the captain's navigation table right here. And its display is clearly lit up and letting us know what's happening. Basically what's happening here, it's telling us that the system is normal, okay? And the AC to DC output is very low right here. Or the DC to AC output is very low. It's only at 2 bars right there. And this over here tells us how much DC is coming into this unit. So right now, the only thing that's plugged into it is my laptop. Let me unplug that. And that really doesn't make a whole lot of difference when I do that, because the laptop is kind of charged already, maybe? Okay, let me see. It did a little while ago. Maybe that's because it's been charged already. Put that back in. Over here, you'll see that the charging light is lit, right? And that means this laptop is getting its power from that AC outlet right there. Okay. And if I unplug it, that power light disappears. So it's a quick test, right? So I know AC is coming out of that bottom one. And when the laptop is plugged in, it's not sucking very much juice. Most of the time, I'm using this little laptop. See, so if we were out at shore right now, we would be okay for the moment. System normal. But I do know that after a time, look, if I plugged in my heater, watch this. Now this heater works on AC. It's not even a grounded AC, so you don't think that it would suck that much energy, right? But these little boat heaters are pretty efficient. I mean, this is the boat heater right here, right? It's being powered by this little cord. You would think it would be a 3-prong negative cord, but no, it's powered by this. So if I plug that in next to the laptop, what's going to happen with those green lights? And this is running off the battery right now, and the battery's not being charged. So I have to be careful about how much drainage I put on it. But I'm just testing the inverter, okay? Let's plug that one in. I'm going to start up the heater. Watch what happens to the lights. Now that one, DC dropped a little bit. DC to AC kind of came up a little bit. See? See it jump there? So now, my DC to AC output has grown. It's telling me, alright dude, you plugged in your heater, be aware, right? System is still normal, the DC input is still nominal, systems are green, but you better monitor it. So if I lower the heater, what's going to happen? Everything resets, right? All of a sudden there's no more DC to AC output. Input is DC, okay? DC input level went back up, right? System normal. That's pretty cool. And then over here is the other side, where I mounted the gauge that tells me everything's cool. Roberto, you don't have to worry right now. I'm not going to turn off your AC in or your F off out. I got to figure out what that one is. But that's the inverter in a nutshell. That's really the whole thing. Now, the scary part was, connecting up the cables and making sure you're not going to blow anything up. And I read, the manual very carefully, and basically said, hey dude, connect the negative and the positive, use thick cables on one end and the eyes on the other end, and connect them to the extra battery posts that are on your battery. So that's what those extra posts that aren't being used. I always wondered, these boat batteries have these posts, these extra posts, right? The negative and post right above the connectors. And they're never used unless you need to hook up an inverter. Because when I went to the auto store, it's exactly as the guy said. It pretty much indicated that those posts are used for auxiliary DC and AC, heavy duty loads. And so it's exactly what we have here. And you can see that I just ran extra cables. Now this post here didn't have anything on it. This cap was covering it like that, right? And that one over there the same. They had a negative cap, was covering it like that, right? So that's the way they are when they come from the store. And then you connect your boat stuff back there, like it's been working fine ever since me and Chris had to change this battery to 100% flawless. Okay, so now I need an inverter, right? And so the inverter requires a good source of DC and heavy duty cable, so you have to use these cables, these type of thick cables, in the same posts. So in trepidation, of course I connected negative. I made sure my AC was completely out of the loop, right? I don't want to get fried, right? You never know. Even though the AC is powering an AC to DC power converter that's charging the battery. That's what it's down there. Oh, I unplugged it. See, I'm playing around with that. I unplugged it. When it's powering it, you know, that's a light one. But anyway, these are for extra auxiliary devices that may require a good DC source. So I got, like, I guess these cables are about 6 feet. 6 feet of the negative one and 6 feet of the positive one, you know, and test them where they logically go, not one and negative. And on the side over there, it's very similar, a little bit more fancier setup, but basically it's the same thing. You're connecting two battery posts, you know. I don't know if you can see that too good. Let's see, there's the red one. Right there. And next to it is a monitoring cable that goes up to that device that lets me know everything's green. It's basically like a telephone cable, you know, basic data line, minimal, you know, abilities, just sends a signal. And then the negative one is right above, see? Right. And then the green wire that you see is the ground. Okay, now you would think that the negative one would be ground, but no, the box itself needs to be ground to what's called an engine ground. And so that's the cable that you see in the back. I don't know if you can see it right there with the blue and the ring. And that attaches to the green ground. This green ground, right, comes from the chassis, coming from the chassis. It's a bolt on the chassis. It's not part of the actual operating of the unit. It's just a ground. And that ground wire, in turn, comes all the way back to where the other battery grounds go to the engine, okay? There's one battery negative that all goes down there. And that's this one, engine ground. I already pre-marked that. See, this is engine ground. Engine ground, right? So anything that